I don't need to tell you, 2026 is the year of the X-Men. You got a new season of X-Men 97, X characters are going to be popping up on all kinds of stuff, you got a Wolverine game coming out, and the year is going to end with Avengers Doomsday, which will feature the Fox X-Men in cool costumes, and they're probably going to be awesome. I'm very worried about what Magneto is going to do to my home state, but I'm happy to be involved. But what's interesting about the X-Men is they don't all have good years at the same time, right? An amazing year for the X-Men may involve a character having a really bad year, like being in books that don't work, being taken out of books where you would expect to see them, because sure, what's important is the team of the X-Men, but the individual members do have their own identities, their own fans, and it's interesting because as a fan of the X-Men, you pick mutants that you like, X-Men that you're kind of your favorite and you want to succeed, and I genuinely cannot remember a single week in my lifetime when a character was doing very well, had solid name recognition, was popular, got elevated so quickly to the X-Men A-list, and makes me excited for what might be coming in the future. Now, I'm of course talking about Illyana Rasputina, aka the Darkchylde, aka the Sorcerer Supreme, aka the Master of Limbo, aka the Little Snowflake, aka Magik. I've made videos on this channel that have mentioned Magik before. I made a video about why Magik is such a popular character, which I would say this is kind of a spiritual sequel to that video. Because the idea for that video was, hey, Magik is going to be a big player in this Marvel Rivals game that seems like it's going to be a big deal. People don't really know her as well as they know characters like Storm or Spider-Man. So here's why you, if you are enjoying playing this character, might also enjoy just like reading things that this character is in. And for a while, that was the story. And don't get me wrong, Magik has been a character since she was resurrected, I would say, that has been on the upswing, like has been punching above her weight class. Like she was a member of Scott's X-Men team. I would say out of any of the New Mutants, she's the one that seemed to graduate to like regular member of the X-Men. Wolfsbane, I would say, also tried to get there. But like Illyana seems to be the breakthrough New Mutant. And for people who don't know, really, really briefly, Illyana is the younger sister of Colossus. She lives in Russia with her family. He gets superpowers, goes to live with Xavier. I believe because they were worried about the Russian government getting her, Illyana was also brought to live with Xavier, even though at the time she did not have powers. But then, Illyana was stolen by a demon named Belasco and taken to a hell dimension known as Limbo, and she was basically kept there as a slave. It's unclear exactly what happened in Limbo. A lot of people see her experience as a metaphor for a lot of different things, but either way, she lived through the experience, came out on the other side as an older, more experienced version of herself with mutant powers, the ability to teleport via stepping discs, and now a knowledge of magic and the arcane, which includes the creation of a soul sword, a sword made of her own soul that is a weapon that can disrupt magic. But like for a while, she was Colossus's kid sister. But I would say like it wasn't until the era when Cyclops broke off from the rest of the school, started his own team with Emma and Magneto and Magik, that she felt like she moved up to like a strong B-lister, where she would appear in team books and you would expect to see her in X-Men books, and if they had a New Mutants book, obviously she would be involved in that. But Magik was a character who still did exist within the X books, but her stock was rising in a way that a lot of other characters weren't. And speaking of characters whose stocks have not been rising, Colossus has had a rough decade, and I would say Illyana has had an incredible decade. Again, being a Krakoan war captain, getting an official spot on the X-Men, and I think the thing that really shows how far this character's come, showing up in other stuff, right? They made a New Mutants movie, all the New Mutants were in it. She was played by the biggest actor in that movie, by far, Anya Taylor-Joy, and she is the one part of that movie that I think everybody agrees was almost good, and like we would like to see again, but I get it, you know, she's maybe gonna age out of that role soon. In the comics right now, Magik is 25, and that's like as old as I feel like you can make that character without having to make her siblings like 40, which you could do. Also, my cat Mortimer is sitting on my lap here. He's here because he loves the X-Men, because they have no cats. You have a cat? I mean, Beast is kind of a cat. Feral's kind of a cat. Cat's Eye is the cattest X-Men. She's on X-Men. She's on the Hellions, so she's like a bad guy, but she could just turn into a cat. I'm sure there's a cat character I'm forgetting. Does Magik have a cat? She doesn't have one. She's been around cats, and I do think her energy lends itself well to cats, where she does appear standoffish and kind of like unfriendly to a lot of people, but like she's very dangerous, she's very loyal, and some people really love her. But okay, so that leads us to like this year. Magik has a big part in Marvel Rivals. She is one of a few X-Men that shows up at launch, which is a big deal because like other characters like Jean and Emma Frost Gambit, Rogue, none of them were there at launch. Magik was, so that was interesting. And I think part of it is the look is fun, but also it's just the sword, man. I feel like if she did not have the sword, completely different conversation. Probably like not as fun to draw. And just like the fact that, especially because it's become kind of the Buster sword recently, it's become this huge sword held by this very small girl. I believe Magik is canonically like 5'3". It creates a fun contrast. It makes her seem like a real problem. And I would say, as a Magik fan, she feels closer to a second generation of Wolverine than any of the other characters that have been the Wolverine heir apparent. More than Akihiro, more than Laura. And that's not saying that I think she is like better at being Wolverine's kid, but Magik feels like she embodies what was fun about Wolverine and why so many people fell in love with this character, right? It's because he was tough, he's sarcastic, he likes to fight, he's got a really tortured past. Like, he's hard to pin down, he really likes some things, doesn't like other things, and he's really exciting in a fight because he is a brawler. And I was wondering, and I think I even said this in my video, like, is Magik going to cross over the same way that Wolverine did? Is she going to become such a popular character that it kind of becomes annoying, the same way that like Wolverine was in every book for a while and kind of still is? Deadpool is another one of those characters who like was popular and then became super popular and then was way oversaturated. Like, is Magik going to end up there? And I would say now the answer is still no, because there's the two biggest parts of like oversaturation are going to come from movies and television. And as far as movies, she's been in one movie, and it's one of the movies nobody watched. As far as television is concerned, outside of one Little Morph cameo and a picture at the very end of season 1, she's not in X-Men 97 at all. Colossus isn't even in X-Men 97. So, like, you'd be surprised to see more of her. So I don't think it's possible that she can reach that point of oversaturation like Wolverine or Deadpool was at. But I do think this week, this specific week, let's say the first half of February 2026 has been like a generational 2 weeks for Magik. I just want to go over some of the accomplishments of this character. First one, really important, new comic. Doesn't get better than that. So like last year, maybe 2 years ago, there was a really popular Magik solo series. It was the first one of these since like the first 4-issue Magik run back in like the 80s, 90s, whenever that was. It's written by Ashley Allen with art by Herman Peralta, Arthur Hesley, and Ariana Mar. Very popular. I would say very successful for a solo X book. Then that book got like a spiritual sequel that just started that is the same team, and it's called Magik and Colossus, which is great because, like I said, Magik has had a great couple of years. Colossus is not. Like, we've had a really hard time, especially since Krakoa, just figuring out what to do with Colossus. What purpose does he serve? What is it interesting to see him do? Because back in the day when there weren't that many mutants, big strong guy, that was a selling point. Tough guy, but with a heart of gold, you know, he likes to punch, but he really likes to paint. Like, that was enough for a character like that. But since then, I think Colossus has had a really hard time, especially, again, since he was resurrected in the 2000s, moving past it and just figuring out where he is now. So I think it's great that now we're taking Magik and we're not leaving Colossus behind, which she totally could do at this point. We're saying, what is their relationship like? How can they repair this? Like, they have this complicated relationship with tons of history. It's not that they don't like each other, it's just they've kind of fallen out of touch. Like, Magik's been crushing it, and Colossus has kind of been searching for a place. He had his weird run with X-Force. So this series, a great start and like a really fun opening book. We're dealing with like Russian legendary creatures and stuff like that. You don't know too much of what this book's about. But then this week, out of seemingly nowhere, first of all, Magik got a skin in Fortnite. Some X-Men have skins in Fortnite. Wolverine has skins in Fortnite. Cyclops, you can find a Cyclops skin in Fortnite. Emma Frost got one recently. That was actually what got me to start playing Fortnite. And she was kind of my default skin until now. And like Gambit, Rogue are in there, but like none of the other new mutants are in Fortnite. People thought this may be a Marvel Rivals collaboration. The character models that they used for Magik and Luna Snow are much closer to their comic versions than to their Marvel Rivals versions. She's a pickaxe that is the soul sword that can also turn into the new Wraith sword, which that is something that is a very, very recent development. So that's awesome. And like, I know it sounds stupid because like, oh, Magik's in Fortnite, who cares? Like, there are like people, many people who play Fortnite who are not big X-Men fans, who wouldn't recognize every X-Men character, like just don't know them super well. But if they're introduced through Fortnite, now they're important. Now it's like, oh, this one's somebody you should learn about. And it's really interesting that like Magik is getting a Fortnite skin before Beast, or before Nightcrawler, before Iceman, before Sunspot. I found that really interesting. So Magik getting exposed to a whole new audience in Fortnite. Obviously, Rivals still doing pretty well. Now they're in this weird fight with Overwatch, which I think is great. I like the competition because I think it's going to push Rivals to be a better game, and I think it's already pushed Overwatch to be a better game. But Magik, still a big figure there, hasn't had a new skin in a while, even though she has a great disco skin that they should have added, but whatever. But then there's this new fighting game coming out, and it's not really on my radar. I'm not a big fighting games guy. It's called Marvel Token Fighting Souls. Seems like it's going to be a very technically impressive game. It's made by Arc System Works, the company that made like Guilty Gear, Dragon Ball Fighter Z, and Persona 4 Arena. Those are popular games. And we know there's about 20 characters that are going to be out in this game. And this is all of Marvel. This is not just X-Men. This is any Marvel character could be in this. So like Spider-Man, Doctor Doom, Captain America, Iron Man, like those are the characters featured in the launch trailer. We had one X-Men in that group, which was Storm. I don't think there was any question of whether Wolverine will show up in that. So there you go. You got 2 X-Men that are going to be in this game. But you figured, let's say it's a 20-person roster. Let's say there's 2 more X-Men. Who's it going to be? Who's going to make that list? Are we going to have Cyclops? Is it going to be Gambit? Gambit can be a fun fighting game character. Psylocke, another really fun fighting game character. They could get weird with it. Do Iceman, make him Sub-Zero. Or just take somebody like Cable, give him a bunch of cool guns. Those are all options. They revealed this week the 4 members of the X-Men that are going to be in the game. It is Storm, it is in fact Wolverine, it is Danger, the Danger Room, the X-Men's training room, turned into a like sentient robot, that's a very interesting choice. And then 4th on that list is Magik. So not only is Magik a Marvel rival, one of the biggest hero shooters, she is now in Fortnite, one of the biggest battle royale shooters, and she is going to be in what seems like it could be one of the biggest fighting games of this next year. On top of that, we're getting a new Marvel Legends of Magik. And a couple of years ago, they did a re-release of like the old version, but this is a New Mutants version, which I'm very excited about. And I guess the reason I made this video is not to say like, I called it, I was right, this character is cool. Everybody knew Magik was cool. It's to say like, look at where we are right now. Here's the things that can happen in the future based on where I think this character's profile has been raised to. Number 1, the simplest thing, probably more comics. When Magik and Colossus ends, maybe another Magik book. Danny Moonstar is getting a book by the same author. Danny showed up in Magik solo book, maybe a team up there. Or maybe something completely different. Send her to space, have her hang out with Rocket Raccoon. I don't know, but this could be like what Deadpool was like maybe like 10, 15 years ago, where just every comic had Deadpool. Whatever you could have Deadpool do. Deadpool kills the Marvel Universe. Deadpool kills all the books. Deadpool kills all the Deadpools. I'm not saying that's what Magik should do, but like, does she show up on the Avengers at some point? Maybe. Do I think that's a great idea? Not necessarily, but I think that could be really interesting for that character. Number 2, another thing that could happen this year, now that this character's profile is raised, she could get a bigger role in X-Men 97. I mean, imagine right now they're done with X-Men 97 season 2. They're working on season 3. I haven't seen any like leaked trailers that would suggest she's going to play a big part. I believe we know Colossus is back, so like maybe that means we will get some more Magik. That'd be a great way to introduce her to fans who aren't big on the comics or the video games. And then another thing that could happen, she could be in that Wolverine game. Like Colossus and Wolverine came into the X-Men at the same time. I would say they are closer characters than Wolverine and Magik. Honestly, if it was a Cyclops game, I'd be like, maybe we'll see Magik, because they're really tight now. I think the biggest thing we could see from Magik this year, Anya Taylor-Joy in Avengers Doomsday. All you would need is a cameo. She could be being killed by a Sentinel or something. I wouldn't love that, but I understand for the purposes of this movie, it seems like a lot of characters are probably going to die. I'd be okay with her sacrificing herself. I'd also just be happy for a name drop at this point. And it's interesting because Colossus was a big part of at least the first 2 Deadpool movies. And he had a little kid with him, but it was not his younger sister. It was Negasonic Teenage Warhead, who kind of did the same thing you would expect a younger sister would do, especially because Negasonic Teenage Warhead is also kind of rebellious, also kind of dangerous. So since Deadpool, the most successful X-Men movie, has introduced Colossus, I wouldn't be surprised if we see Colossus in this movie. And I don't know, maybe he can mention her, or maybe she can show up and teleport him out of danger or something. I'm just saying, we might see Anya Taylor-Joy Magik. It'd be the best cameo. It'd be such a good cameo. And it'd be fun, because again, like Cyclops in the original X-Men movies, people said like, hey, that casting was great, that character is great, the movie didn't really do him justice, so if they really wanted to go all out, give her one cool little fight scene, that would be great. But I think the thing that like fans of Magik are really looking for now, the thing that's going to be interesting, is when they announce the next X-Men movie, when they give a lineup. Because the X-Men, like, assuming they're not just going to follow linearly from like First Class and introduce those mutants and then whoever came next and whoever came after them. But I'm guessing when we get a proper like MCU X-Men, it is going to be made up of characters from all over X-Men comic history. Like I would expect it'll have most of the mainstays. It'll probably have a Cyclops and a Storm, but I would say almost all the rest of the spots are up for grabs. And even Storm, she might premiere in a solo movie that's just a Storm movie and not be in the first big X-Men movie. And considering how consistently Magik has been on the X-Men recently in the comics, and how popular this character is, how much Marvel is clearly putting her out there, I would not be surprised if they're getting everybody ready for, hey, This is Magik. She is as important as Gambit or Rogue or Nightcrawler or any of those other characters that you would expect to see in a movie like this. And honestly, I think that's smart. I would like to see representation from different generations of X-Men. And I think Magik does a lot of things that just no other character can do. She's the X-Men that can do magic. She's the X-Men that can teleport the entire team whenever you need to. She's the X-Men with a big sword. Even Nightcrawler, who uses a sword a lot, does not use it as consistently as Magik, which is weird. Like, why are the two teleporters the sword guys? I don't know. So yeah, if you asked me a year ago, is Magik going to be in the first MCU X-Men movie? There's a chance, possible. And I don't think it's a lock, but I don't think anybody is a lock. Hell, I think Marvel could give Magik her own movie, one that kind of follows the Magik solo book, but also gives you some insight into her origin, because that's something not everybody is familiar with, and that could set her up for a big role in the X-Men. Listen, I'm not saying I think she's definitely going to be in the X-Men movies when they come out, but I am saying, if she was going to be, if this was something Marvel had decided, this is what it would look like. They would start putting her on all the video games, she would get solo comics, she would be everywhere. And I think a lot of the credit for this should go to the team behind the Magik comic. Again, Ashley Allen, Herman Peralta, Artur Essley, and Ariana Mar, putting together a really excellent book that people really connected with at a time when a lot of X-Men characters, bigger characters than Magik, were getting their own books. And those books, while some of them did some cool stuff, did not feel as interesting, as kind of new as what Magik was, where it was grounded, it was exploring a new part of this universe, and we were getting more insight into her character. So, we'll see. I guess the next thing you could expect to hear would be that she's in X-Men 97 season 2 in like a big role, maybe just one episode, but still, like, that's something. That would be the next step towards like total Magik dominance. And listen, I don't want Magik to be oversaturated. I don't want this to be a thing for in a year I'm like, God, we gotta take her out of stuff, people hate her. That happens a lot of the time to characters, to people, where they start showing up everywhere, everybody gets real tired of them. But I don't think Magik is there yet. If anything, I think she's at that point where a lot of people are starting to recognize, like, oh yeah, that's the one from Rivals, and she's in that new fighting game. What's her deal? Like, she's important, I guess. And that's exactly where she should be. Now it's time for what should be the softest transition ever. The X-Men movies haven't all been great. Sometimes they've been awesome, and sometimes they've been quite bad. Magik is in one of the ones that definitely doesn't work. And I've talked about these at length, but if you want to hear someone else that's really smart and funny talk about them, Lindsay Ellis made a video called Trying to Make Sense of the X-Men Cinematic Universe Timeline, where she talks about all the X-Men movies, their place in history, and she's got a ton of other videos about like body cams, Bluey, and Disney's flop era that you can find exclusively on this video sponsor, Nebula. You guys have heard me talk about Nebula before. It is a subscription streaming service that I helped to create. A bunch of us video essayists, and I don't like call myself a content creator, but like content creators got together and we were like, hey, these platforms that we have to work with, they're great, but they have some problems. And the big one is we wanted to just make great videos, give them to you guys. We wanted to make a nice, clean, well-organized place where you can go to watch all of our videos. They all go up early, so every Nando V Movies video and Nando Cut video go up early. They're all ad-free. You can download them to your phone, which is a feature I don't hear nearly enough people talking about, but is incredibly useful. Like, if you don't want to have to eat up all your data or deal with the Wi-Fi at the gym or something, download some videos. You'll have them with you. The videos on Nebula are all made by real people, and that didn't used to have to be a selling point, but now I think it might be the best selling point. There's also all kinds of cool videos you can only find on Nebula. Like, Lindsay Ellis makes videos almost exclusively for Nebula. One of her most recent videos was about Bluey adults, and the one after that was about dash cam footage, so it really covers a pretty wide spectrum of things. Then you've got short films like Patrick Williams' Dinner Plan, or series like Maggie Mae Fish's Amy's Dead End Dreamhouse. And you have what we haven't like fully announced, but will be coming out sometime next year, our show Subliminal. It's our first like dramatic series. I wrote an episode. I think it's pretty good. I've seen parts of it now because it's like coming together and been edited and all that, and like it looks great. I can't wait for you guys to see it. If you want to support us, give us more opportunities to do cool stuff like that, and you want to see our videos early, ad-free, download them and see other creators on Nebula, because all of your favorite creators and your next few favorite creators are on Nebula right now. Like, there's something for everybody. And a yearly subscription to Nebula is $60 for a whole year. That is $5 a month. But if you go to go.nebula.tv/thenandocut, or the link in the description, or you use the QR code, you can get a year of Nebula for just $30. That is $2.50 a month. It is an incredible deal. Again, that is go.nebula.tv/thenandocut.